The final DCEU movie is about to release into theaters, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and it looks like it is going to be another box office bomb similar to the previous DCEU films we've seen over the past year, including Black Adam, The Flash, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Blue Beetle. Not only does it look like it's going to be a box office bomb, but it looks like Warner Brothers Discovery is completely abandoning the film when it comes to its marketing. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. With that out of the way, wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. Here is the headline: Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom expected to bomb at box offices in its opening weekend. Warner Brothers Discovery throwing in the towel. First, we have a report from Variety that details the film is expected to only gross between 35 million and 40 million in its 4-day weekend, which includes Christmas since it is on a Monday this year. That is not the typical 3-day weekend that you usually see because they are including that Christmas day on Monday. So that number is probably lower when you think that it's going to be a 3-day weekend. The film reportedly has a $205 million production budget, meaning the film likely needs to make at least $512.5 million globally in order to break even. That is using a 2.5 times factor, which typically includes the theatrical takes that the theaters take. So obviously they take around 50 to 60% of the box office. And then that also includes kind of the marketing budgets as well. Not only does the report detail the lackluster opening weekend for the film, but it claims that Warner Brothers Discovery is indeed throwing in the towel for the film. This is what Rebecca Rubin wrote in her report. She says, Warner Brothers has seemingly scaled back Aquaman 2's marketing efforts, which likely still cost $100 million. Wow. So they're scaling it back, but it still costs over $100 million. Crazy, crazy. The studio opted to mount a fan screening and genre media and influencer event in Los Angeles with just Jason Momoa and director James Wan, rather than host a splashy red carpet premiere with the full cast, including Patrick Wilson, Amber Heard, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and Nicole Kidman. So I do think that they're still spending quite a bit of money. Momoa has been doing a press tour. He's been going on kind of all of the shows that you would see him going on. He's going on those late night TV shows. He's going on those morning shows like Good Morning America, etc. So clearly they are like paying for the cars and all of that stuff to get him there. Probably plane and all that stuff and all of his entourage and everything like that. They're probably paying for that, and that those costs do indeed add up. But the fact that they didn't do a massive red carpet means that they probably did indeed try and cut some of those costs down. The latest report from Rubin also comes amid the film's declining box office hopes over the past month. So, Box Office Tracker, Box Office Pro, which typically tracks films based on previous films, other films within that kind of franchise, and then also factors in pre-sales, originally predicted the film would bring in between 32 million and 42 million at the end of November. The outlet went on to predict the movie would only gross between 105 million and 168 million throughout its entire domestic run. The site has since adjusted those predictions down. Their most recent predictions, which they released on December 15th, they said that the 3-day weekend was only going to bring in 29 and 38 million. So that is lower than what Variety was saying, 35 and 40. But again, that is a 3-day that Box Office Pro is sharing, not a 4-day that Variety shared. They did predict the film's 4-day would be between 38 and 51 million. So that is actually higher than Variety. So even from December 15th to December 20th, which is when the Variety report came out, we're already seeing a decline in that 4-day weekend as well. As for its entire domestic gross, Box Office Pro has also adjusted that down from what did we say earlier? It was 105 to 168. Now it's 105 to 155. So the bottom hasn't changed, but that top end has changed, declined by 13 million there. That's pretty significant. The film has also released in a number of international markets, and it's not doing well. We can look here at South Korea. Luis Fernando provided these numbers, saying that it only brought in $484,000 on its Wednesday opening day. and its previews only sold 64,000. That's less than half of 2018 Aquaman's 983,000 Wednesday opening day. He said that that number was worse than both Black Adam and The Flash, but did perform significantly better than Shazam: Fury of the Gods. So, not performing very well in South Korea. However, it does look like it might have some strength in China. It is currently the top grossing film in that country, with sales hitting 5.1 million, including Tuesday previews and all of Wednesday. That's better than both The Flash and The Batman. However, it's only marginally better than The Marvels, which grossed 4.2 million in its China debut. So, only a little less than 1 million more than the Marvels. So, and we know that film did not do well at all. So that's not looking good for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom there. But it is doing better than films like the Batman, which I do think that is a good sign. So if you compare the projected domestic numbers to the original Aquaman film, it does not look good. The first film grossed 72.5 million in its opening weekend. It had extraordinarily strong legs, eventually grossing 335 million at the domestic box office. But where it made its bread and butter was internationally. It would gross 808.6 million internationally for a global gross of 1.1 billion. Film raked in 291.8 million in China alone. South Korea had the second biggest international box office for the film, with grosses totaling 37.2 million. So I think even with that kind of seemingly strong 5.1 million out of China, it's nowhere near what the 2018 Aquaman was doing. Same with South Korea, and those were the two biggest international markets for the film in 2018. As far as Warner Brothers throwing in the towel, Jason Momoa has pretty much said as much. He recently told ET Online, "I don't necessarily want it to be the end." Yes, I don't think it's really like it was a choice. I think obviously the whole, James Gunn and Peter Safran and DC wanting to start the new thing up. So I don't know if it will be, but the truth of it is if the audience loves it, then there's a possibility. But right now, I'm like, it's not looking too good. So even Jason Momoa not looking too good for the future of him as Aquaman, when previously earlier this year he was saying that I'm still Aquaman and no one's ever taken that away from me. And now he's saying it's not looking too good. So I think that clearly indicates that not only is he kind of throwing in the towel here, but DC and Warner Brothers Discovery are also throwing in the towel, and they are moving full forward with James Gunn's DC universe. And it's hard not to it's hard not to I mean, it makes perfect sense why they would be throwing in the towel. I mean, you look at those awful, awful box office returns for the last four films: Black Adam, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, The Flash, and Blue Beetle. Even with James Gunn praising The Flash as like one of the greatest films ever made, or whatever he had to say about it, it was terrible, and audiences had no love for it and did not show up at the box office to see it. So why would you spend a bunch of money chasing money that you probably aren't going to get back? You're just burning it up at this point. So it makes perfect sense why they would throw in the towel. But let me know what you guys make of what's going on here with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Do you plan on going to see this film? What are your expectations for the box office grosses? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.